Hi everybody, Vegas Film Critic here, Jeffrey K. Howard here to talk about the new faith-based religious film, Risen, the story of Jesus' resurrection. Now you probably think to yourself, well, wait a minute, we've seen the story of the crucifixion, you know, the Passion of the Christ, we've seen, just throughout film history, we've seen all of these going back to the silent days of Jesus' resurrection and also his crucifixion and just so many biblical stories. But what makes this one unique is that it's almost like Gladiator meets CSI, if I can pitch it that way, because it's actually a mystery. It's a murder mystery kind of feel to it because it's all through the eyes of a non-believer. It's all through the eyes of the centurion, Clavius, played by Joseph Fiennes, and also his little crony, Tom Felton, who's this up-and-coming Roman officer that wants to make good. So he kind of like runs around following all his orders. And Tom Felton, of course, played in Harry Potter, as, you know, Malfoy, and his name is Lucius, which was his father's name in Harry Potter, and Joseph Fiennes' brother, Ray Fiennes, plays Voldemort in Harry Potter. So there's a Harry Potter connection here. So we have a mystery going on because Pilate is like, wait a minute, okay, Jesus, he's definitely dead, right? Okay, put guards against the tomb. We don't want rumors of him being resurrected and all the everyone going crazy and, you know, threatening the empire and threatening all peace and stability. So, of course, the beginning of the film, Jesus is resurrected, and then they're doing this manhunt, digging up graves, doing all this ridiculous search and hack and slay. I mean, the Romans are just being ruthless. And of course, throughout the film, you know, he's a doubting Thomas, if I can say that, and Clavius, of course, becomes a true believer. So without, you know, doing a religious kind of point of view from it, I'm going to leave that to the mega Christians and all those people. I'm just going to review the film solely based on the story and its approach and the aesthetics of the film and the performances, and we're going to go from there. So beginning with Joseph Fiennes, amazing. I mean, first of all, this movie is from, what's the director's name? I'm going to cheat. See these? I'm cheating. What is his name? Kevin Reynolds, who gave us Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Remember that film? Also, Waterworld. You know, the production values are pretty amazing in this movie. They really are. I think it was shot in Spain. Couldn't go to the Holy Land for this. Too much trouble over there. But amazing production values. I mean, you would not have thought that they skimped anywhere on the lighting, on the direction, on the costumes, everything. Even the acting, even the dialogue, you know, is really kind of, you know, authentic to the time. So you can't complain about the movie not trying to look really professional, because it really was. Now, my only complaint, well, a few complaints. My complaint is that they cast a lot of white people that are supposed to be, you know, back in the Middle East, back in the day. The disciples, I'm sorry. First of all, they have English accents. And I'm not talking you can, like, hear an English accent. The disciples are all talking like this. Oh yeah, he rose from the dead, he did. You know, I mean, you're like, what? You can't believe that Bartholomew and Simon, all these people have accents. You're just kind of like, wait a minute. First of all, Simon's got cap teeth. He looks phenomenal, you know. So there's times where you're like, wait, if you really wanted to make this kind of a greedy Passion of Christ kind of thing, you know, I thought they would just do better where, like, they did that in the original Star Wars. All the Death Star commanders, you know, were speaking in English accents, and people in Empire Strikes Back had, you know, their voices dubbed because they were shooting at Pinewood Studios in London. So I just didn't understand. I thought that was really kind of laughable that the actors had English accents. Another aspect of Risen is it's not preachy. So if you're not a Christian, if you're not someone who goes to church, or you're thinking you're going to be led into something that you would watch that's just going to constantly hit you over the head about converting you and trying to make you born again, all that kind of stuff, it doesn't do that. It really doesn't. It just takes the point of view of a non-believer, a centurion officer, and his mission to find the missing body of Jesus, you know, to quell all the rumors and everything that's going on. So, and along the path, he becomes converted. So that's another thing I like, because if I went in there just trying to be, you know, constantly reminded and breaking that fourth wall or something, trying to, you know, it wasn't a propaganda film. It was something that Christians can celebrate, but it's from a different point of view, which I found pretty cool. You know, there's something about a trend started with the Passion of the Christ where unbelievable violence. I mean, the opening of the film, you have the Roman army led by Clavius, his squad, that are just really butchering people. I mean, it's just really hard to watch. I mean, it's just really brutal. And also, the movie does open at the beginning with the crucifixion. He is the officer. I think there's a hymn about the officer, or the officer standing at the cross. I can't remember. Protestant. But he was the officer at the crucifixion. So he's showing compassion. You know, there are people, the other people being crucified, they're breaking their legs, they're doing all these horrible things to them, if being crucified wasn't horrible enough. But, you know, of course, there's an order issued from Pilate to say from some Jesus' family and followers, look, we have permission to take him down, don't dismember him, don't break his legs, and we have permission to put him in a tomb, and here's the official order. So he's the officer at the very beginning that has this connection to Jesus. And what's really disturbing is they showed, the movie begins right where Jesus said, well, did he say anything? Well, he said, it is finished, which we know is Jesus' last words. So he gets up there to check him out, and you see Jesus dead. I mean, not the classic, his eyes are open. It's just really disturbing, because this is important later on that he makes a facial identification when Jesus has been resurrected, and he starts questioning, how can this be? One more thing I found kind of funny was, or humorous, which I'm not making fun of this movie at all. I'm trying to be very polite and, you know, sensitive to people. But Cliff Curtis plays Jesus. And if you know who Cliff Curtis is, he's the star of Fear the Walking Dead on AMC. So he's the star of, you know, the zombie apocalypse has happened, and he's trying to get his family to safety, and, you know, the Walking Dead series, but it's the LA one, the new one, Fear the Walking Dead. He plays Jesus, who essentially you could say was a zombie. He died and came back to life. I mean, just being on a generic level. So I thought it was kind of, you know, funny that they would get the guy who's fighting and killing zombies on television to be probably the most famous zombie in the world. Final thought on Risen, it's from Affirm Films, which is, believe it or not, Sony Pictures has a faith-based distribution company, a film company. So, you know, Christian films are really huge right now. I mean, look what happened with War Room and Heaven is Real and all of these. They're just make a ton of money, except the Identical. Of course, the one that I love didn't happen. You know, I even got quoted on the back of the DVD. It's over there somewhere. I love the Identical. That was a faith-based film, but it didn't go anywhere. I don't know. But the rest of the films are cleaning up, and Hollywood is sitting up and taking notice. Especially, you know, starting here we are, Risen, almost Easter time. So I think that it's a lot of Christians are encouraged. I know a lot of churches and a lot of people at my screening last night are being encouraged to check out the movie and see exactly what they think of it. And like I said, it's non-threatening. Is that the right word? Anyway, it looks fabulous. Yes, it's almost 2 hours long. I thought it was way too long. They could have cut easily 30 minutes out of it, kind of sped things up. It's, you know, because Ray finds this guy, Clavius is troubled, you know, conflicted, all that stuff, but I thought it could have been a lot shorter because the movie did tend to drag along. So, but overall, I think Christians are going to be really happy with it because it tells a story from a different perspective and from a story we all know, and I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised. All right, for more reviews and interviews, just surf on over to my website at vegasfilmcritic.com, and make sure if you like what you hear, I'm sure you do, comment below, subscribe, thumbs up. I'm Jeffrey K. Howard. I'll see you next time.